celebrating Ukraine's space exploration program. It is with great pride that the State Space Agency of Ukraine celebrates 20 years of successful operations and aerospace achievements. It is with much joy that Ukraine celebrates as being one of the world's leading countries in aerospace technology. With you here at the Ukraine in Washington Gala Awards dinner. Possessing a wealth of talented scientists and engineers, Ukraine has made its own contribution in the development of world astronautics, and today Ukraine actively participates in peaceful space exploration. While the State Space Agency of Ukraine, formerly called the National Space Agency of Ukraine, began in a free Ukraine in 1992 by inheriting almost a third of the former Soviet Union's aerospace capability, the story of Ukraine's modern aviation and aerospace industries began unfolding back in the late 1940s and early 1950s. We know and appreciated that many achievements of the Soviet space industry were directly related to Ukraine. Under the Soviets, Ukraine's early space program participation began with Sergei Korolev, who developed the first national ballistic rockets SS-1A, SS-2, SS-3. Hence, in 1951, in order to produce these rockets, the Soviet government converted a large automobile factory in Dnepropetrovsk into a ballistic rocket production facility, which, as a result, became the flagship of the space and rocket industry of USSR. Further research and testing eventually developed such ballistic rockets as SS-4, SS-5, SS-7, SS-9, and its modifications under the talented manager and prominent scientist Mikhail Yangel. The Dnepropetrovsk facility and the workings of Pivdenne Construction Bureau became the main Soviet enterprises for producing rocket systems. Consequently, Ukraine played a vital role during the entire history of Soviet aerospace industry development. Over time, other Ukrainian sites and universities joined this manufacturing and highly technical process, such as the Pavlograd machine building and chemical factories, the Dnepropetrovsk Scientific Institute of Machine Building Technology, the Institute of Technical Mechanics, and the Dnepropetrovsk State University's Physics and Technical Department, which began preparing specialists for aerospace technology. Rocket Construction Bureaus, the Rocket Department of Dnepropetrovsk State University, the Scientific Institute of Machine Construction Technology, the Dnepropetrovsk Engineering Institute, and the Institute of Technical Mechanics of the Academy of Sciences of the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic formed the development of the rocket industry and the space exploration program in Ukraine. At Ukrainian enterprises in Dnepropetrovsk, Kharkiv, and Kiev, the unique systems and devices for rocket carriers and space shuttles were being created, which became a historical breakthrough, and the SS-18 and SS-24 rockets produced in Dnepropetrovsk are still highly regarded in the world. The space development enterprises in Ukraine and Russia were able to convert combat rockets into space carriers, which allowed for the development of long-term space exploration programs. In Soviet times, more than 300 rocket carriers, space appropriation, and around 400 space devices were planned, constructed, and later launched in Ukraine. The first-generation rockets, SS-4 and SS-5, developed into the space carriers for Cosmos and Intercosmos programs, and later more advanced rocket carriers of the Cyclone and Zenith types were developed. The Zenith rocket carriers and their advances meant much to Ukraine. In the 1980s, the rocket carriers became more technically sophisticated, for instance, with more ecologically safe fuel components. These unique characteristics allowed to create an already independent Ukraine together with Russian, American and Norwegian companies and successfully exploit in the course of 13 years space and rocket industry of Sea-Base Sea Launch program, which started by launching a rocket on March 7, 1999 from the Pacific Ocean. Ukraine's critically important contribution for this program was its two-stage rocket carrier Zenith-2, which eventually developed into the Zenith-3 SL rocket carrier. During the Sea Launch program, dozens of telecommunication satellites were launched. Over the past 20 years, Ukraine has further progressed its space program through events such as the launching of Ukraine's first satellite, Sich-1, with the use of the domestic rocket carrier Cyclone 3. This launch ensured international recognition of Ukraine as a space country. In 1996, the National Space Agency of Ukraine and National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine established the Institute of Space Exploration. The National Center of Control and Testing of Space Facilities, Yevpatoria, which controls the flights of space vehicles and processes special and scientific information, was also created in that same year. In 1997, the space flight of the first astronaut of independent Ukraine, Leonid Kadenyuk, was successfully carried out. Ukraine's space program has grown, and today more than 30 industrial enterprises, scientific institutes and construction bureaus lie within the administration of the State Space Agency of Ukraine. Leading enterprises of the Ukrainian space industry actively participate in more than 50 international space projects, such as Sea Launch, Land Launch, Dnipro, Cyclone 4, Vega, Taurus 2, Radio Astron, and the Exploration Program. The resources of Ukraine's scientific and industrial base are concentrated on furthering the goals of peaceful space exploration. The prospects for Ukraine's space exploration program shine brightly. With the education and training of young scientists and other technical personnel, the investment in an effective aeronautical infrastructure, and the commitment by government leaders, Ukraine will continue to participate in space flights within our solar system and beyond the stars.